Meantime, the former England striker Stan Collymore has lashed out at Twitter, accusing the social media site of not doing enough to combat abusive tweets. Collymore, now a radio presenter, has been repeatedly targeted by internet trolls and faced more abuse last night.
I have no problem with honest thought opinions. If people think I'm an idiot, then they're more than welcome to say. They're also more than welcome within the laws of the United Kingdom to bring up my past factually, whether that be good, bad or indifferent. I have no issue and no problem with that whatsoever. That is genuine use of freedom of speech. But freedom of speech means that if anybody walks past me here now and calls me some of the things or makes the threats that they did, they would be arrested and they would be processed.
Vicky Beeching is a specialist in online ethics with me now here in the studio. Have you ever suffered Twitter abuse?
I have, and I think it's becoming more and more common. I lived in America, in California actually, when these social networks were just kind of coming to light, and I decided to dive into them quite early. And I think they were even more of a Wild West back then, and I received death threats, rape threats, and for me it actually transitioned from digital to physical, as it has done for some other people that have had this abuse, and people actually began to show up in my town, at my church, contacting my landlord, and it was very frightening.
What did you do about it?
I moved back to England. I mean, it was actually traumatic enough, I think, as somebody who was alone working in a foreign country.
But is that why you
come
moved?
back? It was one of the reasons. I did begin to feel quite vulnerable over there, and the kind of emotional pressure was quite great. But coming back, it hasn't actually stopped, and it also hasn't stopped me from engaging on the platform. And I decided to actually focus my academic research in this area. People were a little sceptical when I first decided to do this. It was several years ago, and it was quite a new field. But within the field of theology and religion and ethics, I'm looking at how we behave online and how it's affecting our morality.
Is it the anonymity? Is that what fuels trolls? Are you happy to call them trolls? What do you call them?
I think trolling is quite a dangerous word because people can apply it to people who simply disagree with them.
Yeah.
But here we're really talking about trolling in the kind of abusive nature, aren't we? But I think anonymity is an interesting one, and I've been looking at that recently, looking at the good that can come out of anonymity. You know, if you're a political activist in a nation where it would be dangerous for you to be identified, you can do so much good having anonymity as a good tool. In the same way, if you're in a situation of domestic violence, you can cry for help, you can make community happen in a way you couldn't if you were identified. So the danger here is to look at the tool itself and demonise it and say, you know, social media is bad or anonymity is bad. Actually, all of these things are useful. Social media is useful, anonymity is useful. It's the manner in which we use them.
But is Twitter socially responsible enough? I saw Piers Morgan last night actually tweet directly the owner of Twitter, or the guy that set up Twitter, Jack, and said, what are you going to do about it? I haven't seen a response. Do you feel that Twitter are on it?
They are on it. I know them well, the UK office, and I have a great amount of respect for them. I think sometimes we forget just how new these technologies are. They're totally in their infancy, and the folks at Twitter want to be careful, but at the same time, if they rush in and clamp down too much, some of our good freedoms will be limited. For example, if anonymity is really restricted, we will lose all the good benefits that anonymity can also bring. So although we are calling for these abuses to be taken very seriously, if safeguards are rushed in too fast and without thought and without care, we will actually lose some of the good as well.
And the police find it difficult to police this particular social networking site, don't they? Not least when it comes to racism or abusive or threatening language.
Yes, they do, and it was difficult, even more difficult, I think, back in the day when I was suffering from it, because it was so new that when I made phone calls, the police in the States didn't really know what jurisdiction it fell under, because it wasn't the jurisdiction that I was living in, it wasn't where the guy was tweeting from, it was cyberspace. So the police are doing a great job now. Some cases have spoken very well of them. I know Tom Daley was very positive about them, whereas Stan Collymore
was arrested, wasn't it?
Yes,
right,
and with Caroline Crowder-Perez, I know she's had problems. Stan's saying he's having problems. But I think this is also new. We need to realise that amidst these incidents of abuse, so much good is also going on, and it's important that we don't demonise the tool itself and that we also celebrate the good alongside the bad.
And what's your best tip for dealing with trolls?
I'm actually of the opinion that we should bring them into the light, and I know that's not necessarily a popular opinion. If somebody tweets something nasty to me, I'll be likely to retweet it, to actually say, hey, look at this, this is going on, I'm not going to suffer in silence. At the same time, people say that can give airtime to trolls, and they like that, but that for me has been the most useful way to deal with it.
OK, Vicky, for now, it's always great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thanks a lot. Let us know your thoughts via Twitter. We'll share them with you.